Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Yes, I am.
We are in person as we are recording this directly after the last episode.
Can you bring up a calendar, Ben?
Yeah, sure. Calendar Ben.
Because that's right, we're at Ben's house again.
Yes.
This will be coming out
24th.
It's the 24th.
You're thinking Australia Day?
I was thinking
Invasion Day, I should say.
Yeah, Global Game Jam, but that's next week's episode.
Yeah, okay. We're not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet.
Okay.
Are we there yet? No, shut the fuck up.
Maybe that's the theme. Are we there yet? But that wouldn't be a bad theme.
That'd be a good theme.
Yeah, are we there yet? There you go. Free
thing for next year.
Because I'm sure you haven't chosen it this year yet. I'm sure you'd probably choose it the night before, right? Right,
the day
Game
off.
Jam
Day
off, like 4:59.
They wait for the Bitstorm episode to come out. Yeah. That's just Ben turning off the AC. The AC as we get incredibly hot in here again. So sorry about that, listeners.
Yes.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Shall we do that as our theme for this week?
Why not? Let's see what we can do with Are We There Yet?
Okay, so we're going to play some regular click pitch as well, but we are going to add in the theme, Are We There Yet? Just for something different. Trevor's making a face after seeing his first word, so we're going to do 3, 2, 1, click.
Smelly. Cunning.
That made you pause before you read the final word there, I assume.
I wonder why.
Drinking assistant.
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? So, I mean, are we there yet? It's going to lead to a lot of travel-based games.
Road trip
sort of things.
Ooh. You know what gets smelly? Someone who gets incredibly drunk. Okay. And they soil themselves in the back of Mum's Commodore.
So they need an assistant to drive them?
Yes. Or the assistant is the GPS as they're trying to get to the hospital to get their stomach pumped.
A game where you're playing from the point of view of a GPS could be interesting.
You got to reroute.
Okay. Yeah, rerouting. Are we seeing reports come in like as this person's driving? You're seeing the way they're following. Is this literally just you're seeing essentially the interface of the GPS with the little arrow to show where they are? Maybe we're telling
current traffic alerts,
and like accidents and things. But what I like the idea of is telling the story of who this is purely by where they are going on the GPS.
Yep.
And like at what time or something or when. Because I like the idea of like first you drive them to the bar and then 7 hours passes and like, you know, it switches over and they come back in and they type in, you see them typing it and they're like misspelling things.
Yeah. They shouldn't be driving. But what are you? How can you do anything about it? You're just the GPS. So all you can do is try to get them home safely. Pull over.
You're just telling them to pull over. I don't know if you've got that much autonomy. But I like that idea. Then it's like, okay, take them down like lower trafficked.
This is the tutorial level.
This is the tutorial level.
So, because what I think is, and I really love this idea. It's gone away from where I was originally planning on going. Yeah. It's taken a life of its own.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking, you know, the what was that airport game where you like bringing.
I know the one you mean. Like we had to like draw the paths of the planes so they didn't.
Yeah, so they didn't intersect and all this sort of stuff. I like the idea of this is for traffic of. At first, you've got the one car that you're sort of you're helping take through.
Around. Yep.
And then as you go, it's like, okay, now there's a crash that's happened here,
which you might have caused.
You may have caused. you now know about this crash here, or, a car that's, parked across the road because the drunk people, they parked right across the highway and got out and ran to the hospital. And now you got to deal with that with your next two cars that need to go,
they need
one
to go
needs to cross over
various
here.
places, yeah. And so is it less...
I think what you have sometimes is you've got one person who's literally speeding because they're trying to get away from the cops.
Right.
And this is
then
just
it comes
one of
up
the
and
levels.
you're guiding the cops.
You're guiding the guy, and you're guiding the cops, and
you've got choices for who you let get away or something. Or
and
it's like, all right, send the cops through the area where there's a ton of traffic because
storylets.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically,
we did that
if you've
2 weeks ago.
If you've helped some people, help a mother, an expectant mother get to the hospital. But it was at the same time that, the drunk driver was happening to drive, and then something happened there because, you didn't get them to the hospital. You asked them to pull over.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to get there themselves and they cause a crash.
Yeah, it could be an interesting thing of bringing in these different systems then that can intersect in various ways.
But you don't have autonomy over where the car goes.
No.
If you need to reroute them, you need to be focused on, okay, where am I rerouting them? They've gone off to a different thing. I can't keep on asking them to do a U-turn. They've asked to go a different way, so now you need to reroute them,
Yeah.
They're adamant of going down Park Lane. It's just, that's the way they decided to go. There's something about this that I really, really like, and I think you could have little vignettes at the end of each sort of thing, kind of like Elite Beat Agents, or...
Well, yeah, perhaps. Or I do kind of like the idea of just discovering these stories through the actions, but I think you get at least a little, their license pops up or something, right? So it's this person who I've seen before. Maybe you get a little bit of information on their previous trips or something. It's got their history, so that you can follow them through, and then that it's just building up the stories based on that.
So I kind of think that this is kind of like one of those. You find out that these are literally, minimum wage people who are literally programming these routes in to the computer, and they've just got as you get better, you get assigned more cars, but basically you work in this huge sweatshop, basically sort of thing of all you're doing is you got your little cubicle, you got your email there.
Google Assistant doesn't actually exist. It's all it's all just these fucking exploited workers for sure.
You're all Siri or Sari or whatever you want to call it.
Didn't we have a good one? We had one.
We had one.
Yeah.
It's a while ago.
Cindy or something, or no, what was it? Anyway, doesn't matter.
It was a while ago, so I don't remember.
Zandy. I think it was Zandy.
It could have been.
X and I.
X-A-N-D-I.
Yeah.
That was it.
Zandy. There you go. We're all Zandy. Zandy maps.
There's something about this idea of the game, where you've just got a map, and this is where you're taking them, and then this is City 1. You've been assigned, you're in the Melbourne row, or something like that, and as you go down, it's like, oh no, now
Well, it's almost a little bit of mini metro ish, except you're not drawing roads. The roads are there, and you're
drawing
paths. Them. Yeah. And so I think, unlike that flight game, it's less about them crashing into each other. I don't think that's...
It depends.
An issue necessarily.
It depends. I mean, if you've got a guy who's literally speeding away from the cops...
if they're reckless, then potentially it's you might, like you said, you might get the drunk guy and the fucking pregnant woman on the same point. It's I'm not fucking putting these two on the same road.
Exactly.
Because something's going to happen. But I think in general, if you just guide two people down the same road, they're following the rules or whatever. Yeah. But yes, I think having these different attributes on...
But maybe you need to be very careful. Maybe you've got two licenses come up and you see that they're from the same address.
Right.
And maybe this lady's trying to get away from her abusive husband. And
there are a lot of stories... There are a lot of stories you can tell, and then I guess they'd almost need criteria for different resolutions. Do you just send them to where they want to go? Do you let them intersect? Do you have their endpoints end up? But well, you can't. The thing is, you can't change their endpoints because they've got a destination.
They've got a destination in mind, but sometimes you may be able to delay them a little bit so that this person can get away.
Okay, so maybe you can have situations where it's like, oh, they got delayed long enough. They changed their destination because they're like, well, I'm not going to make it to the airport or whatever.
I'll just go to the bar instead, and that's where
and then
next story
splits into different. Yeah, it splits into different things.
The cool thing is, you could, given that you are an actual person that gets an email, you occasionally will get news that comes into your email that you can basically have, like traffic news, basically, and it's I think it's Zandy's feel good news of the week, where such and such Zandy 23775 successfully navigated these people, and
they fell in love at the like whatever the resolution is,
and then your one is like, yeah, you successfully navigated a drink driver into crashing into an ice cream truck, and like 17 kids are dead.
Oh, God. Because they had taken over the ice cream truck.
They were all hanging off it because
they'd left the song on and were driving down the highway. I mean,
which they shouldn't have done.
No, that's their fault.
Kids go feral when they hear that song. Do.
Jesus, 2 notes. Yeah, I think there's a lot you can do with that. That's really fun. Does the Steam Deck have touch controls?
Yes.
There you go. That'd work well.
Yeah. Drawing
the paths on.
Drawing the paths. Yeah.
Good Steam Deck. Good Steam Deck game.
Good Switch game.
Or Switch, yeah. Or phone game for that matter, really.
Oh, I know. I like the idea of keeping it to a console. Like,
you elitist, you horrible person.
Hey, at least I'm not leaving it to only Steam Deck owners. Given that we can't officially get it here in Australia yet, even though I've got one coming in.
This is why it's coming up. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Let's move on to our next game.
Oh, by the way, like, just because we say a word doesn't mean that they're just jumping off points.
Oh, like, yeah. We're not beholden to actually
notice how smelly and cunning didn't really come into it.
I mean, they gave us the drunk driver thing and put us to the GPS idea. That's
exactly.
funny.
And I fucking love it, and I want someone to build it, and why isn't it out, and why can't I play it on my...
That is a cool one. The storylets have really been like triggering some good ideas lately.
Yeah, it really has.
Substantial cube.
Topical precedent.
I mean, most presidents are topical in some degree. Oh, precedent. Okay, well, that's better. I didn't want to talk about presidents anyway. Substantial cube. I feel like that's like some fucking alien ship or something.
Yeah.
Is it coming to judge humanity in some way?
I mean, if it's substantial, it means that it's fucking huge, and it's got to dwarf Earth. Like,
yeah. But it's coming at your corner first, so you can tell it's probably a cube. It could be some other sort of
very much a diamond because it's sort of off kilter as well. Like, it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, depending on where you are on Earth,
right? Of course.
And what time of day it is like, and the diamond's entering Jupiter now.
This is very Destiny. What was the Traveller or whatever? Wasn't that a big cube?
No,
this is a bigger cube.
Bigger cube.
Yeah.
It dwarfs the sun even. Like,
Jesus. And it's just right at Earth. Somehow does not have the mass of the sun despite being the sun. It's hollow.
It's hollow. It doesn't have the mass. Of course not. You just have this massive corner that just points down at Earth, and there's like, all you can see is like corner out
okay, so you think it's a cube, but the end game is you like get all the way out, and it's actually an arrow that someone is directing people to Earth with a physical arrow that can be seen from like light years away. It's just got like lights going all the way to the outside. So yeah, it's very it's very sharp edges and
it's very faceted though, and you can kind of tell like that point is literally just one vertice. Like,
you can somehow tell that there's no. It's just it sharpens down to an edge.
In fact, they used like that huge telescope, the new one, the James Webb. Yeah. They just pointed it right on the point and just focused and focused and focused,
and they never saw any more detail. Essentially,
and it kept on going down and further and further and further. And even when it's
a vertex of the universe,
a singular vertex of the universe, and a singular vertex that happened to be an atom that we didn't recognize. Like,
right?
It's like it's a single building block
of the universe. This is how we discover
that everything is actually in a video game.
Right. Yeah, we're in a simulation.
But in this case, we found that kind of like what Pixels, the movie, should have actually been.
Okay.
These are actually, there's a scientific reason as to why these are
right. So essentially, we're discovering that the most like the smallest building block of the universe are pixels. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
voxels, maybe.
Voxels. They're vertices.
Yeah, well, I mean, you find the...
In fact, if you actually go in, like, deep into this thing, it turns out that, yes, we're built of multiple atoms, but the reason why this massive arrow doesn't take up much mass is because it is literally, from what you can see, you can only see five
actual points that exist,
and therefore there's 5 actual atoms that are pointing right at us. It's just all these.
So it's even plainer. It's not. It doesn't have any additional faces.
Well, it's got single side faces. Like, you can see the faces on the outside, but the faces aren't made of atoms. They're literally what if you went deep enough with a high enough contrast microscope into our skin, you'd actually find out that, oh, that's why this all works, because we're made up of billions upon billions of vertices.
Yeah.
So we're harder to render than what this arrow is.
Right. It's just a very simple... It's a debug arrow.
It's a debug arrow. Someone accidentally...
Okay, there we go. All right. Because we went way too deep into just my throwaway idea that they're pointing at us for some reason. I love the idea that they're debugging the simulation, and that's how this has come about.
It's a mouse cursor.
It's a mouse cursor, yes. They're essentially showing their boss, like, I don't know what's happening in this version of the simulation on Earth here.
In Universe Sandbox, why is this happening?
I'm pointing at it. But somehow you use that as a way to, like, tear apart, break outside of the simulation, essentially, like, get to the code running underneath, do some sort of root exploit to the base level operating system.
It turns out the reason why they found out that there was an issue is because we actually created Universe Sandbox inside of the Universe Sandbox.
And we created it to too high a definition that it was just like increasing the load. Because little did we know, but within our Universe Sandbox, someone else had created a Universe Sandbox, and so
we are literally just going 13th floor again.
I mean, that's fine. But I do like I like this as an adventure then of. I mean, it's essentially a superhero story in a way, because if you're the one who discovers how to do the root exploit based on this, it's like news reports are reporting there's a giant, arrow in the sky that no one seems to be able to, focus on or whatever.
So what actually happens is you happen to be creating this program, right? And you selected, like, down on your
oh,
thing.
You're saying that it's actually recursive in the fact that
your program and your debug arrow. There's something about that just makes me laugh.
I do like
even
that.
more. It's not Universe Sandbox anymore because we don't have anything to do with those developers.
No. But
instead it's Solar System Sandbox, SSS.
Sure, it's just the solar system. But yes, somehow you creating So essentially, you've created this software, except what this software ends up being is so complex that it has created a simulation where everyone doesn't realize they're in a simulation, and that time within the simulation, like memories have extended before
it was
created. Yeah. Except technically, that's all of existence.
But technically, if it was created, how do you know that wasn't just created memories?
Well, yeah.
This is the paradox of it. Like, which came first?
Well, and maybe you're trying to decipher, and we're getting really weirdly
solar system
existential
simulator
here. Maybe you're trying to decipher though. So you're like, oh shit, like my cursor's there. This is my cursor in the sky. But is it actually like a paradoxical recursive thing, or is it just that you are in a simulation that is so similar to the like outer simulation that the same things are happening at the same time?
Or you messed up the pointer a little bit, and it pointed to the external one, not your. You like clicked on it, it's like, where's my debug arrow?
This is getting too complicated.
It's getting too meta, I know.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that this is literally, you thought, what if we could take The Sims, which is all about like one neighborhood, and make it all about the whole solar system and simulate, what's going on Mars and what's going on the moon with the moon base and what's going on.
And so because this is how game development works, you reverse engineered The Sims.
Yes.
And then just hit like Control D to duplicate it, and you just kind of you lent something on the keyboard so that it would just do it billions of times.
Billions of times, yeah.
And then this is what it ended up with.
Yeah, and somehow it just knew that, okay, we need to, like, the system just knew that this neighborhood is different to this neighborhood, which is different to this neighborhood.
You made a copy of it, so it's a different neighborhood.
It's a different neighborhood.
This is how game development works. You don't have to do anything different when you...
in fact, it's so smart now, like with all this AI art, which is, a little bit controversial.
That's it. It was all... Yeah, okay.
But somehow, like, the AI, it just worked out, what each of the people within there...
Yeah, and one of them happened to be you.
Yes. And...
Who had your exact memories.
You selected that person and you said, debug. And then you saw an arrow over your head. And you thought, oh, this is pretty cool. I can create things.
Is the point here then... that this debug arrow that's above the whole Earth is actually just pointing at you and no one's realised because it's sort of that...
It's literally pointing at you.
But it's
just like... Because you zoomed right out.
Yeah.
And it's like... It's literally swinging around.
Like wherever you are, it's directly above pointing at you. So you don't even notice it at first because you look straight up. You're looking in on the edge.
Yeah. It's a big green diamond.
You just sort of see a dot or like a line. You just see a line of that facing edge. And this is going to be impossible to follow as an episode. We need to move on. This feels like an episode of fucking Joe Rogan or something, like smoking weed and...
Hey, I've had 2 beers. It's the most I've drunk in a long time.
Incentive appendix.
Radical prosecution.
Okay. Are we thinking organ or like end of a reference
I think book? end of a law book
or a law. Yeah, I guess if you've got prosecution, then you might have appendices on a contract or something that you're dealing with.
And it's a radical contract,
right? It's from the 80s.
Or you're wearing
sunglasses.
You come in wearing board shorts, thongs, and sunglasses, and
very 80s style,
and a billabong top, and you come in going, "Cool, dude."
Wet hot American lawyer.
Why do I think that a rad lawyer is going to be like the most awesome of awesome games?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can. It's like, how could it not be?
It's radical.
It's like it's law or die. It's like skate or die.
And ski or die.
Ski or die, skate or die. Was there more? Those two?
I think they were it, but then I'm thinking also California games.
Yeah.
And winter and summer games. You know, I played a lot of those. By Epix.
Caveman Olympics.
Oh yeah. So I think
so. This is a series of mini games around a radical lawyer.
And he finds, like, you know, usually the way that he wins his cases is he does a mini game and looks into you know, the appendices of the contracts and all this sort of stuff. And
sorry, I'm just amused by, like, out of the context of it, this being a game, that he just does a mini game. He's like, all right, sorry, just hold on for a sec, everybody. I've got to do a quick time event or two to figure this out.
And it's like one of those Sherlock Holmesian moments of putting all the pieces together, and it's just him doing quick time events in his brain. Yeah. And you can practice them, because that's one of the things that you could do in California games. Like, you could practice Frisbee and see how far you could throw it. And
oh my God, the Frisbee. Maybe we'll just reskin California games, but they're all now, it's like, how far can you throw the contract?
The BMX one is literally just him doing BMX.
Yeah, well, he's radical. But it's in a courtroom now.
Now, how does the hacky sack one work? It's foot bag, as it was called in fucking...
Is hacky sack a brand? Probably.
It probably is.
You're kicking the judge's gavel, and you have to, like, not let it hit the ground, because then it'll
get scratched, and you don't want that, because...
Well, I was going to say, it'll end the court case. Like, the whole ground is the, like, thing that it hits it.
Okay, this is 100% the CGA graphics, but... because when I play California games, I played it on my original XT, and we had a CGA monitor, and unlike winter games...
4 colours?
Yes, it was only four colours.
Yeah.
But unlike winter games, which had cyan, white, magenta, and black, this had the really ugly yellow, green, and like a red sort of colour. It wasn't magenta. It was one of the alternate.
Yeah, the alternate palettes or whatever.
I found out a lot of really cool stuff about CGA, and you should check it out on YouTube.
There's some cool stuff explaining how all that worked. It's pretty wild, the things they did with very limited technology.
There were other modes that basically meant that you could actually access 16 colours.
Right.
Like, with CGA, and it could show on the CGA monitors. It's just that it was so low quality. Like, it was almost a text mode of, like, 80 by 24, and they never used it.
Interesting. We need to do one more, because this episode is
bonkers.
Okay. Interrupted operator.
Enabling bulb. What was yours again?
Interrupted operator. So I'm definitely getting some sort of, like, dispatch person, or at a switchboard, like, or like like Matrix style. You know how they, like, pick up the operator, get me a whatever,
get me an exit.
Someone the man in the chair. You're the person in the chair.
Yeah. VR.
I do like the idea of physical switches of some sort, whether it's doing the, like, cables and plugs, or whether it's just like
we've done that before,
piloty sort of, like, flicking lots of switches that you have to do in certain things to, like, meet particular criteria or make something happen.
Yeah.
Very tactile.
But there's a bulb that, if it goes off, you've got to drop everything and focus on.
Right. You've got, like, an emergency kind of thing.
So you've got your regular job that you got to do. And then you've got, like, the emergency channel, which is like...
It's like the red phone.
Yeah.
Maybe you are the person in the chair for, like, secret agents of some sort, like a variety, you know, a whole organization, like who was it in Get Smart?
I don't remember.
I think Chaos were the bad ones.
Yes, they were.
And then I don't remember who the good guys were, but anyway.
Control.
Because I like the idea of it being a bit tongue-in-cheek as well.
I only just got chaos and control, and that's just blown my fucking mind.
I don't think I'd ever thought about that.
Wow. Today I learned, or I was today years old. When I found out that control and chaos were were literally named because one was looking for control and one was looking for chaos. Like,
yeah. Fuck. Villains and cops.
Please comment on this podcast, like when we put it out there, to see who else realised that.
Well, because most of the time when I was watching Get Smart, I was like fucking 8 years old. Like, I didn't think about these things. Okay, so you're like the operator in the chair for these bumbling agents. Yeah. Maybe they're not all bumbling, but some of them are bumbling to varying degrees of bumbleness.
Yes.
So what are you having to do for them? What are they calling you up for? And do you just
need an exit, like, and you got to work out, okay, they're here. Oh, there's a helicopter in the area. We can get them a helicopter. So you organise them a helicopter, and it's like, no, you need a sewer escape. We've got a like.
So you're pulling up blueprints and shit.
You basically pull up the area and go, okay, we've got a cache in this area, and it's got a wetsuit. Okay,
right. So you're almost putting together. Because, I'm trying to think how you build this out, but it's like it could almost be procedural in a way, but you're having to click on the few thing, like you've got a bunch of things you can do it, but you're essentially saying like, oh, okay, wetsuit, because there's a canal,
there's a pocket jet ski over here that we can ensure that that's unlocked by the time you get there.
Yeah.
It's being refueled. It got refueled last week, so that's fine.
But then you do have like mini games with your switches and different things, I think, to like get the signal through or something,
and to break encryption and that sort of stuff. Or to encrypt the signal so that it's not being intercepted by anyone. If you
don't do that, then there's a chance that Chaos Agent will
we'll go with it. It's
entropy.
An entropy agent.
What's the opposite of entropy? Like structure of some sort? Anyway. Yes, an entropy agent will come and intercept, and you'll have and there'll be a shootout, or it'll alter the. I mean, this fucking storylets again.
I know. I've already been thinking about there's all fucking storylets again, but that's fine.
Yeah,
like because it just depends.
It just lets you not rely on full procedurality, but still the actual connections that are made between these stories can be different every time.
The agent profile comes up and he goes, he's afraid of water. He never learned how to swim. You can't give him a jet ski.
Yeah.
But he flies the fuck out of a jetpack. So go find the cache over here with a jetpack.
Yeah,
it wasn't refueled.
Doesn't have fuel.
Can I get the fuel there before he turns up?
Yeah, like all right, we've got a truck in the area that I'm going to divert to you or whatever you need to.
Yeah. Go down this path and then turn here.
Now you're the GPS guy. Well, no, I'm thinking like, yeah, but that's an opportunity for a mini game of like, we've got to break into the traffic light system to guide them to you, and you have some fun with it.
It's all when you get close, we're going to go green. And
well, I think you almost abstract this out a lot. I don't know if you're really like showing a lot of this happen in a sense. You're sort of, you've got maps, you've got blueprints, you've got their profiles, and you've got them talking to you in their ear, essentially with whichever direction a story that goes in, you've got the different paths that it can take.
Yeah.
And then it leaves your situation differently of like, oh, well, we know, these are the agents out in the field, here are their attributes.
Yep.
Here, and there's opportunities there for all the different storylets we've written to come in.
Yeah, and basically you never know what's going to come up. We've given these agents all the different things. He's afraid of traffic lights. He's afraid of flight.
It's colorblind. So it doesn't matter what you do to the traffic light. He's going to drive straight through them.
He likes traffic lights. Monty Python.
Oh, okay. And then you'll end up with all sorts of ridiculous stories out of that as well. And
yeah. And, if you lose one of those agents, well, you just pull another off the pile.
Well, that's it. And so I like the idea of the stories that will come out of that naturally. And you'll end up with, like, who is your Agent 86? Like, who is the one that's always seemed to be bumbling but then gets out of danger and makes it back. Gets out of danger just, like, everything went wrong, but he still got out. Like, yeah. And it was just through the fact that, his luck stat is through the roof. Like, yeah, or just actual luck, right? Like the RNG went in, seems to keep going in this agent's direction, and maybe there are ways you can cascade that over time, where it's like, oh, this person's got lucky a bunch of times, let's kick up their luck stat, even further, and sort of swing things in their direction, just because that makes for an interesting story.
Yeah, and to do that in VR, I think would be just a.
Yeah, well, then just the immersiveness of that then, and you feel like you've got different phones in the background going off around the place. It feels like you're in sort of a bustling office, but you're just dealing with your little set of agents, and you hear them directly in your ear.
Ooh, I love the fact that, they're coming from one side, but if the boss needs to give you some instructions,
it comes from the other ear. He's
giving it to you, that you have to then communicate that across, and you can do that through button prompts and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he can't use the jetpack. Like, he's not certified for that.
Or even to the point of, like, there are things you can do that are against the rules, and you have to look around to make sure your boss isn't over your shoulder, because you're technically not supposed to give them the rocket launcher or whatever if they haven't requisitioned it.
But you notice that there was a surplus of rockets, so they're not going to miss them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool.
That does bring us to the end of this episode.
It does. This was chaotic. If you would like to find all of
Guess what we forgot to do?
What?
Throughout the entire thing, the other part was supposed to be, are we there yet?
Oh,
and we only did that the very first time. So sorry about that, listeners. We forgot our own rule of the episode.
Maybe we'll just cut around it and see what happens.
Ben's edit, so we'll see what he does.
We'll see what I do. All right. If you want to find all of our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Listen to them there. Leave us a review. That'd be great.
Yep. If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Man Defiance of the album Containment Failure by the band Crowdust. It's awesome. I recommend you listen to it. It goes longer than 30 seconds.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
Are we there yet?